Ooh. And here I thought TNA Impact's Lockdown was bad. And they got some stiff competition. When I look at this episode of Raw in terms of an overall perspective, it's not a very good show. Even though this had a strong beginning and a strong ending, everything else in between, there's a lot of stuff I question. There's logic fails that happened, and a lot of stuff that just didn't seem to quite work at all. And I'll get all into those later on this review. Now, like I said, this show started really well. It was John Cena coming out, and he cuts a promo. He's inside the steel cage, and he questions why. He's like, why, WWE Universe? Why did you vote for all three members of the Wyatt family to take me on in the main event of last week's Raw? Why? And he's acting as he's acting a bit heelish. I thought that was really interesting, but then he decided to come back and be that baby face. I thought that was an interesting transition. It was almost like John Cena was teasing or trolling the internet fans, the fans that want John Cena to turn heel. I think he accomplished that pretty well, but there was one thing he said that really caught my eye, is that he mentioned something along the lines of him wanting to go over guys that could be the future. And he didn't do that at WrestleMania, and I'm very upset with that. And I think John Cena needs to live up his word a lot more. He needs to back up his word sometimes. But there was also something that he also said, is that he would rather die a hero than live long enough to become a villain. And I thought that was pretty interesting as well, because it all ties into John Cena. Is he going to turn heel or not? And the one thing that John Cena accomplished here is that he played on the audience, the portion of the fans that want John Cena to turn heel, and he done a really good job here. And then you have Bray Wyatt come out. But it wasn't Bray Wyatt at first. It was like 20 or 30 kids singing, "He's got the whole world in his hands." I thought that was really interesting. It was really setting the tone for this first segment. It felt very creepy, it felt very eerie, and they accomplished that here as well. And then you have Bray Wyatt come out, he's singing, and the children are following him down the ramp, and the kids surround the ring. Bray sits down, the lights go out, and when the lights come back on, all the kids are wearing the sheet masks, and there's one kid sitting on Bray Wyatt's lap while wearing the sheet mask, and Bray Wyatt is just laughing in his own creepy little way. And like I said, this was an almost flawless, perfect segment to start off the show. And even though I'm not crazy about this rivalry continuing because John Cena already overcame the odds, but at least I gotta give major props to both Bray Wyatt and John Cena here for spicing this feud up, for pulling this on Raw. And I like John Cena here, his emotions, he was like, oh god. You know, he was acting human. We need to see more of that from John Cena. I think he done a really good job here, and so did Bray Wyatt, to at least have at least a little bit of interest going into the match at Extreme Rules, because let's face it, John Cena already bet Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Bray Wyatt should have won here, and there's really no reason why Bray Wyatt should lose here at Extreme Rules. There's just no reason for that. So I will do a prediction video maybe later on today or tomorrow, and I'll give you my thoughts on what I think should happen with this match between John Cena and Bray Wyatt inside the steel cage at Extreme Rules. And after that segment, and here I'm thinking, oh my god, this segment was so good. How's the rest of this stuff really going to measure up to that? They didn't. To me, to be quite honest, nothing else really measured up following that. Nothing really followed that first segment. And it's a shame because there were some things that were just okay, but really weren't all that great. Then the next thing that happened on the show was the tag team title match between the Usos and Ryback, Curtis Axel and Ryback. And here I'm thinking, why didn't they wait for Extreme Rules to have this match? And that's just something I question going into this match. Now, even though this was one of those matches that was an okay match, you have the Usos go over, and you have one of the Usos, I think it was Jey Uso, favoring the ankle, working the injured. I like that the Usos really fought their way through this match and probably gained a lot of respect backstage with this match. That I do like, but like I said, my only criticism is that I think they should have waited for Extreme Rules to have this match. You can have some sort of screwy finish ending this match for this rivalry to continue between these two teams and have them face each other again at Extreme Rules. That I would rather prefer. Instead, what does the WWE do? They threw the tag team champions title picture under the bus, swept it under the rug for Extreme Rules, and they have it here on Raw. Also, we saw Sheamus versus Titus O'Neil. You have Sheamus come out. You have Titus attack Sheamus from behind while Sheamus was coming out with his entrance. And he was pretty much all over him from the get-go. And then Bro Kick out of nowhere. And this really didn't last long. I'm glad it didn't last long because I uttered to think what this match would have been like if this was a longer match. Ooh. So I think they played it smart and safe. Now, when it comes to Titus O'Neil, I feel like they already dropped the ball with him. I think they buried him here. And we all know that Darren Young is pretty much has long gone fizzled out, and I think Titus O'Neil is almost there. And when it comes to Sheamus, I think it's time to push the reboot button on him and do something different with him. Have him turn heel. Have something fresh for Sheamus, for him something to do. Just give him something that has worth meaning. I actually missed that Sheamus when he first broke into the scene as that bully heel. I like to see that come back. So we'll see what happens with Sheamus, and hopefully Titus O'Neil doesn't go further downhill in his career. I just hope for it. I don't have any high hopes, but I'm hoping. And we also saw a backstage segment with Cesaro and Heyman. And Paul Heyman is pretty much admitting that he's a liar and a manipulator and stuff like this, and says that he takes his clients to the top. Hell yeah, he even lies about that because look where Ryback and Curtis Axel are. Ugh. And then we get to a segment where Dolph Ziggler comes out, and they promote it as Hugh Jackman is coming up next, the guest host of Raw. And that was all well and good. I enjoy Hugh Jackman on the show. And you have Ziggler already in the ring, and it's amazing how he just got reduced here to actually promoting a movie. WWE. I mean, it's bad enough for Dolph Ziggler to be the jobber and having his career going downhill, and now you have him promoting X-Men Days of Future Past. And with that aside, I'm actually looking forward to this movie. This is one of those anticipated summer blockbusters, I hope. And I do movie reviews on the side, so you'll probably get to see that as well. Now, when it comes to this segment, you have Dolph Ziggler do all this thing. You have Hugh Jackman come out, and he mentions what happened the last time he was on the show when he punched Dolph Ziggler, and he was like, water under, bridge under, let's shake on it. And then you have Damien Sandow come out in this ridiculous Magneto suit, and he's like, silence! And he's like, you will meet your fate and behold the power of magnetism and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh good God, what is happening? This segment was so bad, it was so good, it was very awkward yet somehow entertaining. And the funny thing is, even though I didn't like the fact that Dolph Ziggler was being the guy that was promoting the movie, and you have Damien Sandow come out and pull this crap, the only really good thing I really enjoyed out of this segment was Hugh Jackman, because to me he's a guest host that when he comes on the show he feels like he wants to be a part of the show instead of, okay, I'm going to promote a movie and I'm going to leave. No, he's not like that. He feels like he enjoys himself when he's on Raw, and that I miss from guest hosts. We need more guest hosts like Hugh Jackman to have that feeling like, wow, you know what, he's actually a fan of the show and he likes being a part of the action, and I like that moment where Hugh Jackman applies that arm drag or monkey toss, whatever, to Damien Sandow, and then Dolph Ziggler zigzags on Damien Sandow. The whole thing was just so funny and awkward and bad and good all in the same time. There are a lot of things going on here. And then we get to the match between Jack Swagger and Cesaro, and the one thing I question is why, again, it's bad enough they had this match on SmackDown, and it's worse that they had this match on Raw. Why not wait to the pay-per-view? I guess they have other things going on, like triple threat, you know, stuff like that probably. And I like what Paul Heyman was doing before this match, though. He told a joke. It was great. Paul Heyman, he's a great mind on the microphone. He's like, knock, knock. Who's there? Mike. Mike who? Mike Lyon broke the streak at WrestleMania. I was like, oh, dude, you're good. It was just one of those really dry humor yet funny type of jokes from Paul Heyman. He's very smart on the microphone. This was genius from him. But when we get to the match, and I'm like, I'm not really feeling it. This is not one of Jack Swagger's or Cesaro's best matches they have. And there was a weird, awkward moment where Jack Swagger ducks a clothesline, and it was like they were going a little bit all over the place. Their chemistry wasn't all that there. And not only that, the match ends with a German suplex after Paul Heyman comes over to Zip Coulter and grabs his mustache. Well, that happened before, and then the German suplex. I'm like, oh man, that was terrible. I mean, this match fell flat. The ending fell flat. It was anticlimactic, and I'm like, you know what? They're probably gearing towards that triple threat. But anyway, moving on. Cody Rhodes versus Alberto Del Rio. Another match I wasn't really crazy on as well. This was just an okay match. And what you have end up happening is you have Alberto Del Rio go over Cody Rhodes, and now that Dean Ambrose is going to defend his United States Championship against Alberto Del Rio and right back, so odds are Alberto Del Rio might beat Ambrose and become the new champion. But see, here's the thing. This match wasn't really about Del Rio going over. This was secondary to what's going on with Cody Rhodes and Goldust. And the WWE might go in that direction of Cody Rhodes. He might keep losing and losing match after match after match until he can't take it no more. And you know what? I'm just going to take my frustrations out on my older brother, and we're going to form a rivalry. And that's all well and good, except for the fact that I think this is something they could have done leading up to WrestleMania 30. Or even at least wait until SummerSlam or some big pay-per-view. I think the timing, like I said the week before, is way off. And I'm not really crazy about that. This is too late, too soon. Or too soon, too late, or whatever. And it's just, I'm like, I'm not caring enough. Because of the timing, because of all these elements leading up to this. I'm just not feeling it. And speaking of matches that I really wasn't feeling it at all, Alexander Rusev versus Xavier Woods ended in a disqualification where R-Truth saves Xavier Woods from tapping out to the Accolade. And I actually seen a tweet from Matt Hardy. I really do agree that putting a monster heel over in a 2-on-1 handicap match at a pay-per-view is really passe. It's been done before. Remember Brock Lesnar versus the Hardy Boys when Brock Lesnar first broke on the scene? Yeah, something like that. And I think they really need to do something with Alexander Rusev. At least he has that mouthpiece that works for him. Lana, the sexy Russian girl. Whew, my heart just stops. I'm just thinking about her. But yeah, overall, I'm not really caring about Alexander Rusev being this dominant guy. He just feels bland. But like I said, at least he got that interesting mouthpiece, so I'm okay with it. Resistance is futile. Love the Star Trek reference, however. And we also saw a match, again, another match that no one really cared about at all. Los Matadores versus Heath Slater and Drew McIntyre, and this was one of those matches where you have these high moments happen and the fans don't react. You have that moment where El Torito dives off the rope onto Hornswoggle, and there's crickets. And you have moments where Los Matadores are flipping over the top rope and stuff like that, and you hear crickets. And you have the whole thing where 3B is in the middle of Hornswoggle and El Torito, and you're supposed to get a reaction of it, you hear crickets. So no one really cared about this match at all. And what the heck is a WLC match? Oh, I uttered to think how this match is going to go down for the pre-show at Extreme Rules. I mean, why not even have this match on the card? This is so ridiculous. This is one of those filler matches you could just throw in there at any time. And they put this on the pre-show. I mean, I can understand it. But still, come on. This was ridiculous on all levels. And then you have the segment where Stephanie McMahon wants to apologize to Daniel Bryan. Now, what happened was, throughout the entire night, you saw the camera panning to that box where Kane's mask is in a couple of times, and you see it in there. And before the segment happened, the camera goes back to there again. Ooh. And the mask is not there. It's missing. It's gone. Oh my God, what happened to Kane's mask? Yeah, I know. Very predictable how this is going. And I see this coming from a mile away. And I'm just waiting for it. And here we go. But before I get to the good stuff that I'm really going to butcher and chop out and spit out, let's talk about this promo between Stephanie McMahon and Daniel Bryan. You have Stephanie McMahon come out and say she wants to apologize for what happened last week to Daniel Bryan. You have Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella come out. Daniel Bryan with a neck brace on, and Daniel Bryan pretty much says that, Stephanie, you know what? You're full of crap. I'm not buying it. And the Stephanie McMahon says, you know what, Daniel Bryan? You're right. There was a point where we never wanted you, me and Triple H never really wanted you to be champion, and we got to great lengths to make sure that you will never be the champion, but you did. You overcame the odds. You're the champion. And then Daniel Bryan comes back and says, oh yeah, well, what about Brie's emotions? How do you think she felt when Kane was attacking me from what happened last week and stuff like that? And Stephanie McMahon comes back and says, you know what? My husband always goes on a stretcher, and I'm really sad. And I know Brie was always sad when Daniel Bryan was going off the stretcher, so I could feel your pain, Brie. So with that being said, I'm going to give you a match with Paige for the Divas Championship. And I thought the dialogue between Stephanie McMahon and Daniel Bryan was just okay. Nothing really crazy, nothing really special. And it was leading up to probably one of the most predictable segments that I ever came across. Oh, bad. And here you have Paige versus Brie Bella for the Divas Championship. Now I'll get to Paige in just a bit. But when it comes to this overall segment between Kane, Daniel Bryan, Brie Bella, Stephanie, oh my God. This had the word cliched written all over it. This was predictable as hell. And here, you have Brie Bella and Paige going at it. And there's a moment where one of them hits that second or top rope suplex. Both of them are flat on the mat. And here I'm waiting for it. And I'm even doing the countdown. I'm like, in 3, 2, 1, bang, Kane Pyro comes off, and I'm like, perfect timing. I knew that was happening. He comes out. Well, he never really came out. He came out from underneath the ring, and he tried to grab onto Brie, and Brie Bella's trying to crawl her way out of it, and here you have Daniel Bryan come in and try to get Kane, uses the wrench and hits Kane. Kane gets back up, and even though this is one of those things where you have the heel look strong, I just can't take Kane serious because of the fact that WWE keeps changing his gimmick around to Team Hell No, to the Corporate Kane. So it's really hard to take him seriously, and it's just really hard for me to get behind this new, fresh, big red monster Kane. I just can't. And with that being said, this segment was just cheesy as hell. This was predictable. This was bad. This was terrible. And we've seen this stuff before between Zack Ryder and Eva Marie. And you have Kane and John Cena, Embrace the Hate, stuff like that. We've seen this stuff before. This is typical WWE recycled storyline garbage. Oh. And not only that, it just feels like the WWE just swept Paige under the rug here. And it's like, okay, here's how I will put it. I'm sure Paige and Stephanie McMahon or Triple H or who, whatever, had a meeting and decided, okay, Paige, this is what you're going to do. You're going to come in the Raw after WrestleMania. You're going to win the Divas Championship. And we're going to establish you very well. I mean, they've done just that. Then we're going to have you booked in matches where you come off and win matches. And that's all well and good. And then all of a sudden, she plays the fourth wheel into this Daniel Bryan, Brie Bella, Kane storyline. What the freaking hell, WWE? I mean, it's bad enough that you do this almost at every single superstar. Paige is a gifted wrestler. She's been wrestling since she was 13, and this is how she gets treated, like utter garbage. Boo, boo. Come on, WWE. I mean, this really didn't last long. I had this in the back of my mind that the WWE will eventually turn their back on Brie and not have her being utilized properly. And they have her utilized like crap. I'm very disappointed, and I hope that this does not ever happen ever again. No, no, no. Moving on, people. Come on. Anyway, now, if that wasn't bad enough, here you have John Cena, where throughout the night he's been showing emotions, where he was like, oh god, Bray Wyatt's getting under my skin. Backstage segment with Renee Young, he doesn't say a word, and then about roughly 45 or 50 minutes after, here you have John Cena come out of his locker room. He's being interviewed by Renee Young, and then he acts like nothing happened. This whole thing with the Wyatt family didn't affect him. And now we're back to the same old John Cena typical comedy crap. This is ridiculous. This was dumb. This was stupid on all levels. I'm moving on. I can't... Anyway, moving on. Bad News Barrett versus RVD. Final tournament #1 contenders title match to face Biggie Langston. Now, Biggie Langston isn't really lighting the world on fire. They don't even utilize him on Raw. He's just there backstage watching, holding the title. He's like, I wonder who's going to be my #1 contender. You know, he's doing this stuff, and the WWE is just not utilizing him at all. It's bad. It's terrible. Now, when it comes to this match between Bad News Barrett and Rob Van Dam, to me, this match was just okay. This could have been better. It didn't feel like a tournament match, a final tournament match. The match between Wade Barrett and Dolph Ziggler, the first round match, was a lot better than this match. I expected a lot more. I was disappointed in this match. And not only that, here you have Wade Barrett win the match due to outside interference. That alone. Here you have your final match in the tournament to determine the number one contender, and then all of a sudden you decide that Wade Barrett is going to win due to outside interference. This was dumb. This was stupid. And not only that, not only you have Wade Barrett win this match, here you have Rob Van Dam, Jack Swagger, Cesaro, three of them going at it back and forth. Here you have the Cesaro targeting Rob Van Dam, Jack Swagger targeting both Rob Van Dam and Cesaro. And even though they're leading up to this triple threat match, RVD has no business in between these guys. I would rather see Jack Swagger versus Cesaro, have Cesaro run as that babyface, and then WWE decides to, hey, you know what? We're going to stick with Cesaro being heel. Why? This is just typical dumb WWE logic. Not only that, you have Wade Barrett become the number one contender, and this is secondary to the triple threat match leading up to Extreme Rules between Rob Van Dam, Jack Swagger, and Cesaro. Again, another WWE logic fail. They threw this tournament under the bus. This was dumb. This was stupid. I can't think of any more things to say about it other than the fact that a lot of things to me are just very, very questionable, to say the very least. Come on. And this is your go-home show for Extreme Rules, for God's sakes. But you know what? Enough of that. Let's get to the final segment on the show. And that was Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. And I like how they played this match. I like how no one really went over in this match. I like how this ended. And before I get to that, you have Triple H come out, cut a promo, and says that he reminds the Shield as Evolution, and you have Batista say that they will never be Evolution, and Triple H says to the Shield, you will either adapt or perish. And you have the Shield come out, and they cut their promo, and then all of a sudden you get Ric Flair. Woo! He comes out and surprises everyone. And he comes out, cuts a promo, says he talks about the Four Horsemen, about being on the road, and how he started the profile with everyone for 30 or 40 years and stuff like that. And he says that he sees things coming full circle. I think I know what he means by that. And you have Ric Flair endorsing the Shield, having him shake hands with all three members of the Shield. And he turns to Triple H and winks at him. And here I'm thinking, I see where this is going for Extreme Rules. I see Ric Flair beating the deciding factor after this match. Of course. Again, another predictable thing, but you know what? Enough of this whole predictable stuff. I like how this show ended. Here you have Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns, and how this match ended was very smart. I like that Roman Reigns didn't pin Orton. I like that Orton didn't pin Roman Reigns. They really evened the odds, and they made this really almost difficult to predict going into Extreme Rules by having Evolution beat down the Shield, and then the Shield coming back and beating down Evolution, and the show ends with the Shield standing tall and Evolution going up the ramp. Now, even though this is one of those things where you could say, okay, Shield has momentum, this means they'll probably lose. Yeah, probably. And you have this whole situation where Evolution just reformed once again, and they're having a match on the pay-per-view, and why not run with it? Why not have them win? Yet again, you know what? A win for the Shield can really establish them as that strong stable. Of course. A lot of elements come into play during this match, and I will do my prediction video for this, and I have my own theory on this, and I think a lot of people might agree, a lot of people might disagree, but overall I think this is one of those most anticipated matches coming up at Extreme Rules. It feels like these two the teams are really going into war. 3 guys versus 3 guys. This is the most anticipated match I'm looking forward to seeing at Extreme Rules. And the WWE title match just feels secondary to that. That's just my opinion. And overall, this show wasn't really all that great. Like I said, strong beginning. The show ended on a high note. At least it ended on a high note. I started to think, if it weren't for that, and the beginning segment, how the show really would have been bad enough. And if you saw this episode of Raw, what did you think? Comment below, let me know. While you're at it, you can hit that subscribe button down below this video. You can follow MRB Wrestling on Twitter, and you can like us on Facebook at the Mick Rock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show. And on a final note to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest, and always do your best.